Awesome. Who's drinking ketones right now? Who's drinking ketones? Who's drinking the liquid gold right now? Awesome. Okay. Who's excited for this Zoom call right now? So drop a one in the chat if you're excited because you might have an inclining of something really special, maybe a special guest that's joining us today. Okay, everybody's excited. Awesome. Okay. So first of all, I want to acknowledge something. Like, you guys had a bit of a challenging week. We had some technical issues and this and that. But here's the thing. Every challenge that we face in our business is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to move forward. But you know, an opportunity kind of works both ways, right? An opportunity you can take the wrong route too, and you can go backward. And I think it's very, very important to calibrate our minds, right? To be aware, to have a heightened level of awareness of how we choose to frame something in our own mind. And we got a really special guest on here today. He's amazing. His name's Nick Martinez. If you love Nick Martinez, drop some hearts in the chat. I love him. And here's the cool thing about he's going to share his story. And I talked a bit about this with the leaders on this team. And it's like when you hear a story from someone who's had success in our business, there's kind of two little thoughts that pop into your head. One is, you know, oh, he's so amazing. That's why he made it. Oh, he had it easier. Oh, he was in first. Or there's all these little things that kind of, you know, pull us back, and they let us off the hook from going through the process and overcoming the things that we need to overcome to become great, to step into our greatness. And there's another way to choose to look at it, and that's like, if Nick can overcome these things, if he can grow himself as a human being, then it's possible for me too. And the cool thing about Nick, he's amazing. He's been around our community for quite some time. He's leads from the front. He contributes so much to prove it, so much to our greater community. And I'm so grateful to have him on the call right now. Like, I'm so grateful that he's taken time with us. But you know what the coolest thing about Nick isn't that he's a legend, isn't that he's so amazing. It's everything that he's overcome to get to where he is right now. And I really hope that we all can kind of pre-frame this in a way that we're like, man, I'm looking for hope in Nick's story. I'm looking for a little bit of inspiration that's going to carry me through, because this is going to be a freaking amazing month. This is going to be, I want to tell you guys this is going to be an absolutely massive month for this team specifically, right? So let's try to take something away from Nick. I'm so grateful that he's on the call. Let's take something in to actionable things, right? Let's overcome the things that we need to overcome to be who we need to be, right? So Nick, buddy, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you, Nate. A very nice introduction. I appreciate that. Good to see all your faces. Like Nate said, I'm Nick. I live out in Minnesota. And I've been drinking and sharing ketones and part of Prove It Now for the last 9 years. And I'm really excited to share with you guys. So I was talking to Mick and Nate just over the last couple of months, and they're like, man, we want to do some stuff with you. We'd love to have you speak to our team. And Mick and I were talking over the weekend. He keeps trying to get me to come down to Mexico with him. It's 32 degrees here right now, or 0 degrees in Canadian. And I'm ready to leave. So I'm trying to figure out how my schedule can allow me to go hang out in Mexico for a few days. But that's not why I'm here. I'm really excited for where we're at as Prove It, where we're currently like sitting as a company. And I'm even more excited for kind of the future that I see and where we're headed. Being part of Prove It for the last 9 years, I've seen all of it, right? I've seen massive momentum. I've seen some plateaus. I've seen it followed by massive momentum. And it's an amazing, amazing opportunity if we all choose to take it. So today I want to take the next 20-25 minutes and just share with you a little bit about my story, because kind of like Nate was saying, if you can see where I started, you might start to realize you're not that much different than me. And you might not start to see where maybe I am currently at as unobtainable, and you'll realize, oh, it's possible to get there, because I'll tell you right now, if I can do this, you can do this. And you kind of, it's tough because you'll hear me on a Zoom call, you'll meet me at an event, you'll see me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, and people are like, Nick, you're so good at that. Somebody said to me this yesterday. They said, Nick, you're so good at lives. I don't think I'll ever be able to do that. And I remember I said to them this. I said, well, let me know after you've done 5,635 lives, and we'll see how good you are. Chances are you may actually be better than me at that point. And that honestly is the story of my journey. Because I was introduced to network marketing, direct sales back in 2009. For those of you that aren't familiar with my story, I used to be a full-time airline pilot. And 3 years into flying for Delta, I was 26 years old. I had gotten to a point, I was flying the little baby jets, and I was a first officer, which means you sit on the right side. There's a captain and a first officer in front of the airplane. The captain's in charge. The first officer also knows how to fly the airplane just as well, but it's not his fault if anything bad happens. And I got into a point where I had a great schedule, and I had a choice. I could go from first officer to captain, make twice the money, but have half the days off. Or I could relax and enjoy like a year with a great schedule, because I'd been working my tail off since I was 18 to become a pilot. So I chose to relax a little bit. Then 2008 hits, where the economy goes down. All of a sudden you're kind of stuck where you're at as a pilot. And my wife got frustrated because I was playing golf all the time. I only worked, 10, 11 days a month, and I had 18 days off. She says, you need to do something with your life. So I decided to start a business, and I looked at franchises. I looked at starting my own like brick and mortar type business. I almost started a bunch of them. They ranged in cost from $15,000 to $500,000 to start. And every single one of them, she said no. She's like, I don't think that's for us. In fact, the one I was just this close to was a dog poop scooping business, where people pay you on a weekly basis to go pick up their dog poop. Brilliant business model. There's a lot of money in dog shit. Just saying, you get houses to pay you every week. You get employees to go do it. I had this franchise I was buying into. It was called Hounds Mounds, and there's gold in that dog poop. But I brought it home to my wife. I said, honey, I think I'm going to do this. I had another pilot who I was flying with who had started one in Colorado. And he was just telling me, Nick, when I get 1,000 households, I'll be making $500,000 a year through dog shit. And I remember like, all right, I could see it. I could see what we were going to create. I went home. I showed my wife the website, and she looks at it. She's like, that car has a wrap with a dog reading a newspaper, taking a dump. She said, is that going to be our car? I said, well, you don't have to drive it. She said, well, it'll be parked in my driveway. I'm like, I guess in the garage. Then she said, you're going to be on a trip. One of your employees will miss one pile of dog poop an hour north of our house, and guess who's going to have to go pick that up? It's me. I'm like, okay. So she completely shot me down. I was deflated. And the next day I go to work, I go to fly, and I'm flying with this guy named Corey Kilborn, who happens to be Natalie Kilborn's husband. And Corey had gotten involved in a network marketing company. He was excited. And he had me as a captive audience for 3 whole days. And all he did was ask me questions at 35,000 feet. He said, well, what if there was another opportunity, not dog poop, Nick, that you could start for less than $1,000? And what if you could get paid on just a percentage on everything that you did, and then a percentage on all the team that you build? And by the 3 days, I came home and I showed I think my wife was actually open to this, because I said, hey, honey, I found a different business that costs $400 to start. She said, I don't care what you do. If you lose $400, it's not the end of the world. So that 2009, it was March 31st, began my my escapade into this style of business. And I was excited. first month, I was like, I was gonna get rich. I was gonna do this. I'd seen some other people that had had some success. I realized, hey, if they could do it, I could do it. And I talked to everybody I could. Talked to my mom. I talked to my dad. I talked to my sister. I talked to my 5 pilot friends. I even got bold and got real estate magazines. I started to cold call realtors and try to pitch them our opportunity and our product. And guess what? It didn't take off. 30 days into the business, it was April 30th. And at this time, guess how many people I had enrolled into our opportunity, into our business, even as customers? Zero. Guess how successful I was feeling at this point. The guys I was flying with, even my wife's like, see, it's okay. It's $400. I guess we'll live. But I happened to be in Colorado, and that's where I'm from. I grew up in Colorado. My parents lived there, and I was there visiting them. This was before we had children. And I went for a hike with them in the mountains, and we were talking. And of course, I was still excited. I wasn't defeated yet. I was still excited about what we were doing, and I wouldn't shut up about it. Finally, that night, my dad's like, here's my credit card. Do whatever you need to do. Basically, just, I'm in, but you don't have to tell me any more about it. And literally, like an hour later, I get a call from Corey Kilborn, Natalie's husband, saying, Nick, you did it. You got your first sale. Congratulations. What's interesting is he was doing what Joseph McClendon III taught us to do last week is what? Celebrate, right? Celebrate. So first lesson in all of this is no matter where you're at, like you have to celebrate the activity that you do. You have to celebrate the customer that you get. You have to be excited for it because Corey did that. You know what Corey did for me in that moment? He took me. Well, my response to him was this. It was, Corey, wait. He's like, no, Nick, this is amazing. Like, you're going to do this. We're going to create a massive business. We're going to have all this extra money. We're going to quit flying in the future. I said, Corey, it was my dad. Like, it was a pity sign up. And I remember him saying, Nick, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're doing this. Right? Something about his enthusiasm for my quote unquote lack of success or success in his mind kept me going. And it wasn't but 11 days later, it was May 11th of 2009, I went to my first event. He said, and he invited me that day. He's like, Nick, there's this event coming up. It's in Salt Lake City, Utah. They're going to teach us how to be successful in the business. It's called 90 Days to Success. I'm going to go. Can you come? And you should bring your wife. And I'm like, okay. So I had still caught a vision. I still wanted to do this, but I had 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in, happened to get my dad to enroll. Somebody celebrated that with me. I get to Salt Lake City, and guess what I hear in Salt Lake City? It's a small event. There's maybe 100, 150 people there. It was, I can remember it like it was yesterday, kind of stadium style, classroom sitting in some sort of like college auditorium. And this guy named Damar Zimmerman was teaching from the front, teaching this whole 90-day plan of how to go build this business. And there's 2 guys in front of me, and they're talking. I'm just eavesdropping. And one of them is a insurance agent. The other one was a mortgage broker. And they were excited. And the one had made like $20,000 the previous month. And back then to me, that was like, holy smokes, that's a lot of money. You could make this was in 2009. I'm like, I was blown away. And I remember thinking to myself, if it takes me 5 years, if it takes me 10 years, that would be worth it. That would be worth it, especially if it's part-time, spare time business. And I remember hearing just them talking about it, their excitement. So I left that event. I started to apply what was being taught. And I realized I had to go figure it out. I realized I wasn't taking as much action as I thought I was, right? It would take me to make a cold call to a realtor or to follow up with somebody I had spoken to. I'd pull out my phone and I'd literally look at it and I'd get nervous. I'd look at it and I'd about to dial, and then I'd put the phone down. I'd look and like, oh shoot, I need to do the dishes. I'd go do the dishes, and then I would look at the phone again and like, I probably should mow the lawn first. Let me put on an audio training, and I'll go listen to something and build my business in the backyard while I'm mowing the yard. And then I get done mowing the yard, I get back home, and I'd be like, oh, I still got 15 minutes before my wife comes home. So let me quickly make this phone call, and look at the phone. And then I'd look at the carpet and realize I hadn't vacuumed. So I'd go vacuum because I was afraid. And then all of a sudden there's only 5 minutes and I'm like, well, I can't make that phone call. I better do it tomorrow. Anybody feel that way when it comes to follow up, right? That was me, right? So if you've experienced that, don't worry. I felt that times 10. I was paralyzed with fear. I was paralyzed with how people thought of me. I went to another event that this company had. It was a personal development seminar. I learned the first form of affirmations, I am statements. We do a much upgraded version, but I literally started writing on note cards. I am a leader. I am a master communicator. I am incredible at follow-up. I am a top recruiter. I am a leader of thousands. I am attracting people into my business. I literally had note card after note card after note card. And guess what I did? I would carry those around with me. They would be in my suitcase. They would be in my backpack. They would be on my trips. And I would read them and I would read them and I would read them until I started to believe them. Similar to what we do now, we do it at a higher level. But I'm telling you, it started to slowly seep in. It slowly worked. Another thing that I learned early on was somebody said to me, Nick, you have to have conversations on a daily basis. I'm like, well, shoot, who am I going to talk to? I'm flying a little bit. I only fly with one guy and one flight attendant, maybe two. But how can I go have more conversations? And somebody said, well, there's opportunities all around you. You just have to find them. I wasn't on social media back then. Facebook was just becoming a great tool, but that was not my cup of tea. So I realized, oh, I can network. I can go meet people at events. I can go to weekly networking meetings. I can go to Chamber of Commerce meetings. So guess what? I searched my local area networking group. I found one. It was called Network Venture and happened to be at a coffee shop that was just down the street. I was really excited. And I'm like, hey, this is going to be it. I'm going to set the world on fire now. So I go to this meeting. It was this tiny coffee shop, had a back room that maybe fit 7 or 8 people. There were 6 people in it. I kind of come in, I'm like, I'm here for the networking group, looking around, very nervous. Never done anything like this before. I was a pilot because I like to shut the door and I didn't have to talk to anyone, right? Not the guy that wanted to be the flight attendant talking to all the passengers. So I go into this room and it's all ladies, ages, like I was 26 at the time, ages like 35 to 70, and me. And there's like 7 or 8 ladies. And I'm like, okay. So I sit down, I feel a little out of place. Come to find out, the networking group used to be called Mother Venture and they changed the name to Network Venture. And I sure as heck was not a mother. But when you're the only dude in a room of women, they're really excited to learn about what you're doing. And then next thing I knew, one of them invited me to another group and another one invited me to another opportunity. And I learned how to network. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to talk to people. Fast forward another few months, I enrolled a few people. I realized I could do this. I missed the first company convention because I happened to go on vacation. And I remember my sponsor saying to me, Nick, you have to be there next time. And I went to the next event and realized, holy smokes, they're right. Like, these events are powerful. And from that day, that was back in 2009. I missed one in 2009. I went in 2010. I've never, in any company that I've been part of, missed a company sponsored event. Why? Because somebody early on told me, Nick, not everybody at the event makes $10,000 a month, but everybody that is making $10,000 a month and is engaged in their business is at the event. I realized, well, if I want to be one of those people, I got to start showing up. So lesson number 2 is I took that seriously and I started showing up for myself and my business. And at one of those events, I learned that I was the lid to my business. And if I wanted my business to grow, the fastest way to grow my business was to grow myself. The fastest way to grow my business was to grow myself. And that aspect I didn't fully understand until I realized that my fear of calling somebody, my self-doubt around that aspect, my lack of communication skills, my lack of confidence, all these different things were the reason that I wasn't having the success that maybe somebody else did. It didn't mean that they were better than me or anything like that. It meant that they'd already developed that muscle. They'd already been programmed in that way. The guys that were sitting next to me or in front of me at the event, they had massive success because they'd spent years developing a network. Guess what? I had no network. And I learned early on, you can start with a network and go utilize it, but what matters is your ability to grow that network over time. Eventually, you get through the network that you have. One of the skills that I developed that was so important and so powerful was the ability to go meet new people, develop relationships, create a know, like, and trust factor with them, meaning they began to know me, they began to like me, they began to trust me. This is a principle that I transferred very effectively onto social media when I started to use social media. But in those networking situations, I sought out people to have coffee with. I sought out to learn what their business was. I sought out to learn how I could help them and create value for them. And then guess what happened? They started to come back to me and say, all right, what do you do? How can I help you? Oh, this is what I do. This is what I have. So I made enough, and I'll share some, if you guys want to hear some numbers of my income, it might be interesting if you guys are up for that. We don't usually talk a lot of numbers and prove it, but I think it's fascinating to see what's possible and also see where somebody came from. So my first year in network marketing, I made $4,000 and I worked my tail off. Like, I was committed. This was my new business. This is where I was going. But it was I was learning. I spent probably $10,000, but I made $4,000. Second year in network marketing, year number 2, I made $12,000. And at this point, I'm like, hey, $1,000 a month. This is good. At the same time, I spent probably 10,000 or so, 5,000. My wife's like, okay. She was happy with her job. She's like, you can just piddle fart around and do whatever you want. She's very supportive. Third year in network marketing, this is when I told all of my friends at this point in the airlines, everybody's like, what are you doing? How's your little side business going? Are you going to quit your job next yet, Nick? Are you rich yet? And I'd made $14,000. So year 1, $4,000. Year 2, 12. Year 3, 14. Guess what? Year 4, I made $15,000. At this point, most people quit, right? Especially when they're putting their life on hold to go grow this business, when they're saying, hey, this is going to be amazing. It's going to work. We're going to crush it. And it's not happening. Now, it happened enough where I got a taste. I mean, $15,000 is not nothing, right? But after 4 years as a professional pilot, saying, this is my side business, this is where my focus is, this is where my energy is, I'm going to let the airline thing just kind of ride. It's a little bit easy to quit, easy to walk away from, right? And there were plenty of days where I sat in the cockpit thinking, it'd be easier just to buckle down and go do the airline thing instead of trying to figure this thing out. This causes me to grow. I was still in this state where I had to become the person that was equal to the results that I wanted. I had to become the leader that was capable of leading thousands of people. I had to have the confidence, the charisma of someone who would attract people into his life, right? Most of us sit over here where I was and wish it. And I was wishing it, believe me. But at the same time, I realized it was the things that I needed to work on. Sometimes this business is a mirror, and that's the most challenging thing about the business. It's a mirror. We have to create an environment in our lives and ourselves where people are like, I want what you have. And if they're not jumping through your Instagram, Facebook, or in person saying, hey, what do you got? I want to be part of it. That looks fun. Or, hey, you have all this energy. Hey, when I'm around you, I feel different. That's attraction, right? And that I did not have in those years. They maybe thought, well, it's great that you're working so hard. It's great that you've got this thing, but they were not attracted to it. Okay, people ask me, well, why didn't you quit? And what you have to do in order to stay the course in order to keep moving forward is find something that anchors you to your like why. Why are you doing this business? What is it that you're playing for? Who are you playing for? What are you looking to create years in the future? And there's two things that come to mind of why I didn't quit. Number one, I went to a regional training and somebody stood on stage and he showed this graph. And the graph looked like this. It was your traditional like hockey stick type graph where it was not a lot, not a lot, not a lot, not a lot, and bam, it goes up like this. In this graph, he said, all right, he had somebody's income. He showed this person, this is 18 months. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. After basically 17 months, they had been averaging $1,200 a month. And in month 17 and 18, it just skyrocketed to over $10,000 a month. He said, now, most people will quit here, most people will quit here, most people will quit here. Some people stay and continue, but most people miss that part. He said this, and this is the part that really resonated with me. He's like, pretend this was 10 years. And over the course of your 10 years, this was what it looked like. But you have to stick with it for 8 in order to see this portion right here. I remember thinking, well, shoot. And the next question he asked what really got me, he said, do you want to make $10,000 a month in this business? Yes, I did. Absolutely. He said, if it takes you 10 years to get there, will it be worth it? Would you stick with it? At the time, I wasn't making $10,000 a month in my job, and I had gone through 4 years of school, years of flight instructor. I'd been at the airline for 5 years at this point. So I'm like, well, okay, I'd give it 10 years. So then I had to check myself. Year 1, 5,000. Year 2, 12,000. Year 3, 14,000. Year 4, 15,000. Year 5, I made 20,000. I was 5 years in, still not even. I was more at that like $1,500 a month mark. Not bad, but still, after 5 years of staying consistent, of showing up, right? I had not made it yet. Hopefully, at this point, you guys are like, okay, I don't have anything to complain about yet. Because I see a lot of you on the Zoom and I'm like, you're already smashing it. Like there's the Nick Martinez version, which is slow and steady. And then there's like the rest of you on the Zoom who you can absolutely smash what I'm talking about. Okay. So the second thing that happened is I happened to earn an incentive trip back in 2012. And I wasn't crushing it, but I was doing enough where I could earn a trip, which is really cool. Earn the ability to go. I think they paid for the hotel. I had to get myself there. And it was in Hawaii, Turtle Bay Resort in the North Shore of Oahu in Hawaii. Beautiful place. Beautiful place. And I had an opportunity to play some golf. And it was me, Corey Kilborn, Natalie's husband, another guy that happened to be another pilot, and this guy named Adam Packard. Adam Packard was one of the top income earners in the company. He was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years older than me. He wasn't a professional pilot, but he flew for fun. And he and I just always connected and I always looked up to him. And I remember playing golf with him. And halfway through our round, I asked him, our trip was almost over. We had to go home the next day. And I was already kind of sad to leave Hawaii. And I said, Adam, when are you going home? I fly out tomorrow and back home to go back to work. And Adam said, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean? He said, he lived in Arizona. He said, I haven't booked a return ticket yet. I'm like, huh? What's that? I don't understand. He's like, well, I have a promoter on Maui. I'm going to go to Maui and spend a couple of days there. And I've never been to Kauai. So I think I'm going to go to Kauai for a few days and then maybe I'll head home in a week or two. And I'm like, wait a sec. Now he wasn't married at the time, didn't have any kids. So there's no actual like commitments in his life that he had to be responsible for. But I remember thinking, I want that kind of freedom. I want that kind of flexibility. And I remember like in the back of my head, as a pilot, you can make really great money. In fact, right now in the airline world, they're just writing checks to pilots. However, as a pilot, you can choose. Do you want Wednesday off or do you want Saturday off? But you can't have both of them off. And the rest, I mean, you're going to be flying. You're going to be leaving your house and you're going to be gone and you're going to be gone consistently for the rest of your life. And I remember thinking, if there was a way to make pilot style money and at the same time not be accountable to a boss, still have to work, still have to show up, but have the ability to say, you know, maybe I'll go there. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll schedule this to end at this time. Maybe I won't. That moment, for whatever reason, for me, this is the moment for me. You have to figure out what it is for you. Maybe it's part of that story, but what is it that's going to keep you going when the results haven't matched your dreams yet? Right? What is that for you? Because for me, it was enough. It was that, like, that true vision of freedom that was so strong that this was in 2012. I didn't quit flying until 2017. 5 more years to achieve, right? But that moment in time kept me going for the next 5 years, right? In 2000, at year 4, I made, what I said, 20. Year 5, I made $30,000. Hey, starting to crush it. Year 6 would have been like $45,000. Holy smokes, it's starting to happen. Year 7, 220. Year 8, 720. Year 9, almost 800,000. Year 10, it dropped a little bit. We hit a plateau. Year 11, over $1 million. Year 12, over $1 million. Right? And if you look at my graph, what did it do? Exactly like that person shared with me, right? Now, there's a difference, because I have a lot of people that have been doing this with me for 7 or 8 or 9 years, and they have not achieved this hockey stick. But do you know what the difference is between them and what I did? Consistency, right? Consistency. This isn't going to work. This portion will not happen if you don't remain consistent and show up. And I don't mean you have to be 100% of the days, but I'm talking consistent on a weekly basis. Like, you can't just check out of your business for 3 weeks and come back and expect it to work. You have to check into your business 5 days a week at least. Depends on your goals. So during those years, during 2009 to 2017, I was 100% committed, even though the results weren't speaking themselves to me. You just tracking that? So it doesn't matter if you post today and don't hit MVP, or if you like hustle today. What matters is that in a year, you look back and say, holy smokes, I gave it my all for the last 5 years. Holy moly, we're doing it. Last little thing I'll share with you. We might have to do a couple part Zoom, because I have to get going to a dentist appointment. And I'm rambling here. When I started the Keto Dad page, some of you know my story. We just hit 1 million followers on Facebook a couple months ago. It was kind of a fun milestone. It was kind of exciting. I celebrated. I patted myself on the back. I've learned to do that. But people ask, well, how did you do it? I'm like, well, for 18 months, I went live, or I posted on Facebook every single day, and I got 0 customers. But you know what I did during those 18 months? I learned. I went and asked people, how can I be better? I went and asked people who were good on social media, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And you know what happened? I learned a little bit. I would plan, do, I would review. I would do it. I would look at what worked, what didn't. I'd make adjustments, and I would do it again. 18 months, 0 to 6,000 followers. I was consistent every single day. I never missed. And no one was saying, oh my gosh, Nick Martinez is amazing. Oh my gosh, look at the Keto Dad. No, I went to epics after epic after epic and did not receive awards. I wanted them, right? I was working my tail off for them, but it wasn't something that was just coming. Okay. From month 18 until like 3 years in, I went, well, from month 18 to 2 years, it went like this. 18 months of effort. And next thing you know, I go from 6,000 to 100,000 in 6 months. 0 to 6, 18 months. I don't know what the average is there, but it's not very much. Right? 6 months, 6,000 to 100,000 followers. And next thing you knew, people were saying, what's going on? We did a leaderboard and no one had heard the name Nick Martinez before. And next thing you know, everybody's like, all right, who is this guy? What is he doing? Well, I was silently, consistently doing the things that people were telling us to do until it took hold. Most people quit after 30 days. Some of you get frustrated after 3 months or 6 months and start saying, well, it's not working. So next time you feel that way, you can just remember and remind yourself, oh shoot, Nick Martinez went live every single day for 18 months and then got a customer. And then he kept going and then it worked. Since then, we've personally enrolled over 13,000 humans. 0 to 18 months, 0 humans. I think 1 human came in. 18 months to now, which is probably 6 years, 13,000. So how do you enroll? And our best month, I think we did 423 customers in a month. That's not to say that you have to do that, right? That's not to say that that's what is required to be successful in this business. However, that is to say, if you put in the effort and are consistent with it, guess what happens? It yields results. It yields results. So, I hope you got a little bit of value from that part 1 of my story. Maybe we can do another Zoom at some point with part 2. But I appreciate all of you showing up, and it was really good to see all your faces. Nate, I'll kick it back over to you.
I
Awesome.
have connection, so I will take a little bit of the time. I literally run like 1 mile to get a little bit of connection, and then when we came here, exactly when we sit, we have the electricity back in the entire area. So yeah, it was fun. So thank you, Nick, for that call. I missed a little bit at the beginning, so thank you for that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done last Friday when everything like exploding like a volcano. I was not controlling anything. I was lost. So thank you, and yes, for the next part. And thank you for being there, because you have no interest, no self-interest yet to be here with us. But yeah, I love you, brother. I love you. So Nick, Nate, I will give you back the call, because I don't know what have been said. So maybe you want to do a recap or whatever. So yeah, Nate,
Right.
can you explain what happened?
Exactly. So, you know what I love about Nick is that he comes on here, and no matter where you're at in your journey, from the top, you could be crushing it, to just getting started, every single person could take something from his story and apply it to themselves right now. And I think that's one of the things that actually makes Nick so great, in my perspective, is that any one of us can take something from his story and apply it to ourselves right now. And I was writing down certain words that he would use all the time. Okay, and listen to these words for a second. Just listen to them. Learn, grow, develop, always learning, always growing, always developing. And one thing that he said that really stood out to me was, I needed to become the person that was equal to the results that I wanted. Right? So it's funny because I watched this video on social media and these guys were talking about what's more important, putting quantity up or putting quality up. And the guy's like, well, if you're asking me, I'm going to say quality. But here's the thing, if you're watching this video, you haven't done enough quantity to get the quality. And so you need the practice, right? 18 months, Nick showed up. Now, when we're looking back on it and we see him on stage and we see him being amazing, Nick Martinez, super stud, approve it, right? We see him like that. But I want to tell you, like the 18 months of getting no customers, do you know how the average person that plays on you a little bit? You're getting a little bit discouraged. Do you think you're wrestling with a little bit of doubts, right? But at the end of the day, what did Nick choose? He chose learn, grow, develop, learn, grow, develop. And he was relentless, right? And so he talked about that vision that he got, right? That vision that carried him through the next level, right? And that was the vision of having the freedom. So I guess my question to all of you, and this could be a little bit of homework, is like, what is going to carry you to the next level? What is that defining moment? What's that thought process, that vision of the life that you could have? What does that look like for you? Because it's going to be different. It's going to be different. Every single one of you on this has a different life. You're in a different situation. You have different challenges. And so you need to lock on. This is why we always talk about vision. You need to find out what's that defining moment that's going to carry you through, because the 18 months and the process and becoming that person that's equal to the results, that's the game here, okay? And like all of us, you know, everybody wants the results, but that process of learning and growing and pushing through, that's where a lot of people get stopped, right? And so people will say to guys like that have been in this industry for a while, it's like, well, if I would have gone in at the beginning, right? Do you know how many people were in at the beginning that are not here today? Many, 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 many of them, right? There's only a few that are still here. And it's because they were willing to grow. They were willing to get uncomfortable again and again and again, and not necessarily seeing the results in front of them, not necessarily being on the stage right away. But they committed themselves to the process because their vision of what could be was more powerful than what was at the moment. Okay? And this is why it's important to get that vision, right? Because it should be something that gives you goosebumps. It should be something that at any time you can draw from, like it's a deep well inside of you, right? It's something deep inside of yourself that makes you do the work even when you don't feel like doing it. And what's possible is amazing. Like listening to Nick's story and seeing him develop and then seeing what he's achieved, that should give every single one of us a little bit of hope and a little bit of vision. And maybe we can build something around what Nick just gave us, right? Maybe we can build something inside of ourselves, some kind of internal compass that says, hey, like if Nick is the epitome, right, of hard work. He's the epitome of like a guy that's just, how many people have been in this business for over 5 years? Over 5 years. Okay, so a couple of you, have you visibly seen Nick Martinez change and grow over the time? I have. I've seen he's a different human being than when he first started, right? And it's because he availed himself to the process of doing it. And the other thing that I really liked is he said, celebrate your activity. Celebrate your activity. How many of us actually celebrate our activity, right? We celebrate results a lot of times, right? We celebrate achievement, but are we excited about us showing up day in day? Are we excited about, hey, I have this powerful vision for myself, for my family, for the world, and I'm excited because I showed up today and I tried to move myself in that direction. I committed myself to the process, regardless if I seen the results right away or not. I showed up, right? The vast majority of people have given up in this world. They've given up on their dreams. And it's the sad thing, man. Like my kids right now are so full of dreams. This is what I love about talking with kids, is they don't have any limiting beliefs. Like the world hasn't got to them yet. The cynicism of the world hasn't got to them yet. You know, after a little while, like you stop dreaming. It seems like it's a sad thing that you run into adults that have stopped dreaming. It's like when kids are small, they don't have any limit. They want to play in the NHL. They want to be astronauts. They want to do incredible things. They want to do. My one son, when he was really little, he wanted to invent dinosaurs like Jurassic Park, right? He's like, Dad, I'm going to do that, right? And you know what? I love talking to kids like that because they have not been, they have not given in to the cynicism of the world, the negativity of the world, right? It's almost like when you talk to adults that have let their dreams go, and we don't have this in our community, right? This is what's so amazing about what we have here, is that they've just given up. They talk about what they could have done. They talk about, they're like, well, the reality is, right? But this business, this platform, our company, our product gives us the best way to dream again. It gives us the best way to actually dare to believe big again, believe big things for yourself again, to dream again, right? And so many of us need to step back into that childlike state, right? And I love what Mick
You are mute. Nate, you mute.
How long have I been muted for? I was on fire there for a second.
Like 5 seconds.
Okay, I was excited. I was excited. I was talking about you, Mick, actually. So this is a guy I love being around because he thinks big. He dreams big, right? He dreams outlandishly big, right? And when you're around people like that, and this is what I love about having Nick on here, is that he inspires us, right? Because not only is he showing that it's possible by his actions, he's showing us how possible it is to think like that, to dream again. He hasn't given in to the world and hasn't just settled down like the status quo, right? And so this month, okay, I know we've had our ups and downs. You guys had like some challenges this month, but these are good. They may not seem like it. They may not seem like it, but they are good challenges. I've learned in this business that there is no such thing as a bad challenge. That doesn't mean it doesn't feel the greatest in the time. It doesn't mean that it doesn't throw you off a little bit, right? But what it does is it always, always, always grows you if you take the good path. I think Mick called this call stepping out of the darkness into the light, right? I like that because it kind of gives you a visualization of two pathways. You got one pathway that's going to lead you down the dark road, and that's the pathway that's the widest, by the way. That's the pathway that most people take because it's the easiest, right? It lets you off the hook. You don't have to grow. And growth is an uncomfortable thing. It truly is an uncomfortable thing. It requires you to push hard. It requires you to get over stuff. It requires you to move forward, right? And that's the part that a lot of people don't know about stepping into the light. Is stepping into the light isn't the easy way all the time. It's actually the toughest way, but it's the only way to become the person, like Nick said, to that is equal to or above the goals that you're going to set. So I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it at that because Nick did such an amazing job. And I think that you guys are just set up here like as a volcano. You guys have so much energy. Are you guys pumped up about Nick Martinez being on here? I have a feeling he's going to be back. I have a feeling like Nick Martinez is amazing. So thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for being present. And I love that when we bring a guest on like Nick, that's, high level, that everybody was so present. And that was amazing. So kudos to you guys. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate your activity today. Okay? Let's see some celebrating going on. And I'm excited for all of you. And and if you had a really big takeaway, message me, message Nick, message your coach what your takeaway was from Nick Martinez. What was your distinction? Mick, do you have anything else you want to say, brother? Can you talk?
Camille will take over before me. She will translate a little bit in French, like for 2 minutes maximum.
Awesome.
And we will take some question. And I want the question to be answered in English. Like that's 100%, maybe 95% English call. So Camille, you can take a little bit over.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Nate.
Awesome. See you guys.
Can't wait to see you in Mexico. Oh, il est parti. OK, parfait. Guys, je vais vous faire un petit résumé. Qui a compris l'essentiel de l'énergie transférée par Nick tantôt, même si peut-être que tu ne comprends pas tout à fait tout ce qu'il a dit en anglais. Fait que j'ai un bon défi de te résumer ça en 2 minutes. J'ai le mot ici, c'est la constance. C'est vraiment de la constance dans les actions. Je vais te résumer vraiment rapidement son histoire aussi par rapport parce que Nick, sa force et qu'est-ce qui le démarque à travers tout ça, c'est qu'il est là depuis le début. Ça n'a pas toujours fonctionné comme il le voulait, mais grâce à sa constance d'être là tous les jours, c'est ça qui est incroyable derrière cette machine, où est-ce qu'on le dit souvent, Tu vas réussir si tu n'abandonnes pas. Mais je vais dire ça comme ça, la preuve est faite par Nick. Il a tracé ce chemin de non-abandon, si on peut dire ça comme ça, pour réaliser, pour réussir. Sa première année, il a fait 12 000 après ça, 14 000, 15 000, 20 000. Ça fait 5 ans qu'il est dans la business, puis il fait environ 20 25 000 par année. Puis ça a comme un petit peu grandi, puis je vais faire par exprès pour dire un petit peu. Ben, ça ne fait pas les entrées d'argent qu'il le voulait. Sa femme, elle ne croyait pas au tout début dans la business. Pas. Si tu ne réussis pas, tu ne réussis pas. Puis that's it, tu vas pouvoir revenir dans un emploi traditionnel parce que c'était un pilote d'avion. Puis où est-ce qu'il y avait un choix dans sa carrière? Est-ce que je reste le copilote ou je choisis par devenir le pilote puis faire 2 fois plus d'argent? Puis comme, tu sais, comme y aller financièrement vraiment plus de façon agréable. Donc, bref, il a gardé sa belle tête de cochon, on va dire ça comme ça en bon québécois, il a gardé son idée en tête de vouloir continuer à persévérer en étant constant tous les jours. Les 18 premiers mois dans la business, 0 client. Son premier client, c'est son père, par pitié, littéralement. Est-ce que tu veux ça? Oh, je ne sais pas si on veut vraiment ça. Mais bref, ça lui a permis de continuer quand même. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y avait son mentor qui est aujourd'hui, j'en suis persuadée, un très bon ami à lui dans sa garde rapprochée, qui croyait en lui. Hey, Nick, célèbre, tu es ton premier client, je m'en fous que ce soit ton père qui a donné sa carte de crédit, on s'en fout. Célébration, c'est une victoire. Pour monter le mont Everest, il faut que tu fasses ta première marche. Voici ton premier client, c'est ta première marche. Célébration, vois-le, reconnais-toi, tu mets tellement d'efforts de l'avant. Enfin, il y a quelqu'un qui dit oui. Et c'est là, ici, Baby Steps, que ça lui a permis, je pense, à partir de la 6e année, à faire 200 000. Grosso modo, les chiffres ressemblent à ça. Ensuite, 700 000, 900 000 par année, dollars par année. Moi, je ne suis pas encore aux 200 000. Tu sais quoi? Je ne suis pas encore non plus dans mon 6e année. Fait que ça s'en vient dans cette direction-là. Il y a certaines personnes qui ont emprunté un chemin plus rapide. Is it good? Is it bad? Il n'y a pas de good or bad là-dedans. Seulement si tu continues, tu vas gagner. Puis aujourd'hui, ben, il a atteint le rang Legend en 2023, si je ne me trompe pas, où est-ce qu'il fait des millions de dollars avec la compagnie de Prove It. Ça fait 9 ans qu'il est dans la compagnie. Ses 6 premières années ont été rock and roll. 9 ans dans la compagnie, ses 6 premières années rock and roll. 9 ans dans la compagnie, 6 premières années rock and roll. Es-tu là? Est-ce que tu vas buckle up? Est-ce que tu vas t'attacher et faire comme let's go, je suis là pour les turbulences? Il y a eu 2 moments qui ont été breakthrough pour lui. Ces 2 moments qui a fait comme allumer son cerveau. Le premier, c'est un graphique qu'il a vu. OK? Fait qu'on voit qu'il est très analytique derrière le concept et c'est un pilote d'avion. Donc, il est très analytique sur le fait qu'il a vu que comme les premières années, ça va être comme ça sur un plateau, puis à un moment donné, si tu restes, si tu es là, si tu es consistant tous les jours, qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Boum! Volcan, explosion. C'est exactement ça. 12 000, 14 000, 15 000, 20 000, 35 000, boum, 200, 700, 1 million par année. Par mois maintenant, je ne le sais plus. Donc, ça, c'est un premier breakthrough pour lui. Deuxième breakthrough, ben fou, au moins, je n'ai pas envie de dire ça. Bref, il s'en va, il a gagné un voyage pour aller à Hawaï. Il est entouré de personnes qui réussissent la business, puis lui, comme, il est à 14 000, puis 15 000, nanani, nanana. Puis il disait, ben moi, je m'en vais, je me retourne chez nous. Toi, tu retournes-tu chez vous? Non, moi, je ne sais pas. Il dit ça à son ami. Son ami, il dit, mais moi, je ne le sais pas. Je n'ai pas pris de billet de retour. J'ai cette liberté d'horaire, de temps. Certes, il n'y avait pas encore de famille, mais on s'en fout. C'est le concept derrière. Ça lui a ouvert l'esprit, une vision. Je veux cette liberté d'horaire et de temps. Donc, ça revient au why. C'est drôle, hein? On parle souvent de la vision. On parle du why. Puis on parle de continue tous les jours. C'est une histoire incroyable, extraordinaire qui a explosé de façon exponentielle. Tu passes de 45 000 à 200 000 à 1 million. C'est une exponentiation. Bref, c'est plus ce que je dis. À travers tout ça, est-ce que tu as ce believe en toi? Son mentor avait le believe en lui, la croyance. Qui a pris cette croyance, il l'a mis sur lui, puis il a continué à avancer tous les freaking jours. C'est ce que j'avais pour te faire un résumé de Nick. Une dernière chose que je dis, par ça, je laisse le micro. To be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. Donc, Nick, puis encore à ce jour, il se remet dans la position d'un élève. À tous les jours, il se remet dans la position d'un élève. Toi, tu as quelque chose à m'apprendre. Qu'est-ce que je n'ai pas encore compris de cette formation qu'il écoute à tous les jours? Il fait tous les événements, tous les événements. Il a quelque chose à apprendre pour devenir meilleur. Voilà.
I love it. J'adore, 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 j'adore. Euh, Honnêtement, Nick, il n'y a aucun intérêt à venir faire ce call-là. Là. Puis, si j'avais eu du temps au début, je voulais commencer par une question. Puis ma question, c'est pourquoi tu es avec nous aujourd'hui? Why are you with us today? C'est vraiment la question que que je voulais poser à Nick. Ouais. Parce que, encore une fois, il n'y avait pas besoin de nous aider vendredi. Je veux dire, sa business, il est legend. Je ne sais pas si vous vous en rendez compte. Là. Il aurait pu tout simplement faire comme ah, je vais répondre dans 2 jours. Je sais pas. Mais non. C'est lui qui a organisé la majorité des affaires behind the scenes que vous n'avez pas vues vendredi, puis samedi, puis même dimanche. Puis on est encore dans ces affaires-là. OK? Puis en plus de ça, comme c'était passé, il a dit tu veux-tu que je vienne parler à l'équipe pour parler de leadership, pour parler de. J'ai fait oui, here we go. Mais tu sais, toute cette situation-là, euh, on n'est pas, on n'est pas en dessous de lui, là. OK? On n'est pas dans la même ligne. Puis, tu sais, c'est un peu le même principe. On a Michael qui est là ici, qui j'étais en conversation avec lui juste avant le call. Puis j'ai dit, ben, tu sais, reste avec nous autres. Puis c'est ça pour moi, Prove It. C'est vraiment de travailler. C'est les gens qui réussissent le plus longtemps avec Prove It, c'est les gens oui, qui team, qui sont capables de travailler en équipe, honnêtement, mais c'est les gens aussi qui font preuve de beaucoup d'éthique. Donc, pour moi, Prove It, ce que ça représente au niveau le plus profond, c'est une entraide. Si je vois que Nick a des difficultés, je vais être le premier à sauter dans la mêlée pour aller l'aider. Si je vois que Michael got some challenge in his life, I will be the first one to go to help him. This is all about, I'm talking about Prove It. Like, I know you understand a little bit the French, Michael, mais c'est ça que ça représente, Prove It. C'est pas, on n'est pas une équipe ici, OK? On est Team Prove It. On est Prove It. Puis définitivement, encore une fois, Nick n'est pas obligé d'être là avec nous autres aujourd'hui, là. Il n'est pas du tout obligé d'être là et de prendre de son temps. De Legend. Legend, c'est 5 fois ce qu'on a. Notre meilleur mois, là, Legend, c'est 4 fois ce qu'on a accompli de plus. OK? 4 fois de plus. C'est immense. Pensez-vous qu'il n'y en a pas une équipe à l'idée? Pensez-vous qu'il y a du temps nécessairement à donner? Non, c'est purement de la générosité. Et les personnes qui comprennent ça à l'intérieur de Purvette, c'est les personnes qui vont le plus loin. C'est pas pour rien que Nick a déjà été le Prover of the Year, puis selon moi, il va être encore le Prover of the Year. OK? Pour cette raison-là, on n'a pas le choix. Il en fait juste pour la communauté au complet. Il fait pas juste il fait ça pour nous autres. Pensez-vous qu'il fait juste ça? Bon, je suis vraiment proche. Là. Tu sais, dans Provette, c'est pas mal mon best buddy. Là. Mais pensez-vous qu'il fait ça juste pour nous autres? S'il le fait pour nous, c'est parce qu'il le fait pour d'autres personnes aussi. Tu sais? Fait que même s'il n'est pas à l'intérieur de notre branche, je considère que Provette est un de mes plus grands leaders. Est une des personnes que quand j'ai besoin de parler puis d'avoir euh, peut-être une vision, puis tu sais, je look up, même s'il n'est pas avec nous, il est avec nous quand même. OK? Puis c'est ça qu'il a fait aujourd'hui en venant avec nous autres. Donc, moi, je trouve ça complètement magnifique. Puis, si vous vous demandez à un moment donné, qu'est-ce qui fait qu'on grandit en tant que compagnie, c'est parce qu'on est éthique. C'est parce qu'on fait la bonne chose. C'est parce qu'à la place de se pitcher à l'intérieur ou même à l'extérieur, on choisit de s'entraider. Je sais qu'il n'y a pas personne de parfait ici, mais les personnes qui se rapprochent le plus de la perfection, c'est juste les personnes qui essayent le plus de faire la meilleure chose possible. That's it, that's all. Je pense que c'est vraiment important que vous le compreniez. C'était pas à la table, ouais. C'était pas une obligation pour lui de venir avec tout ce qu'il y a sur son assiette, avec tout ce qu'il y a sur sa table. Quand on est allé manger des sushis avec Biou, quand il a parlé de notre équipe, finalement, il n'y avait pas de sushis. Manger des sushis, pas vraiment de sushis, mais c'était quand même un peu bon quand même, on va se l'avouer. Et ce qu'il nous a dit, il a vraiment dit un gros mot. Il l'a dit vraiment fort, ce mot-là. Je viens de poser la question, qu'est-ce que tu nous vois? Qu'est-ce que tu vois en nous? Il y a 2 choses qui m'ont résonné. La première, c'est qu'on est une équipe qui est éthique. Il y a un autre mot qui a dit on est loyal. C'est ça que tu voulais que je dise, ce mot? Loyal. Et pour moi, la loyauté, c'est vraiment important. Puis plus on grandit en tant qu'équipe, plus ça devient important. exact, entre nous, entre l'équipe, partout. Cette loyauté-là, c'est ce qui fait en sorte que vous allez garder les gens autour de vous. C'est que même si la personne à gauche a fucked up, on se back. Même si la personne à droite a fucked up, on se back. C'est la raison pour laquelle on peut casser des pots en tant qu'équipe. C'est la raison pour laquelle on n'a jamais eu la prétention de dire qu'on est parfait. Mais par exemple, on peut s'améliorer. Puis on est tous là en train d'essayer de réparer tout le monde ensemble. Imaginez, toutes les fois qu'il y a quelque chose qui part, qui pète, à toutes les fois qu'il y a un pot qui est cassé, si on se met toute la gang, puis on fait comme on met l'épaule à la roue, c'est comme ça qu'on fait pour réparer le village. C'est exactement ce qu'on essaie de créer dans notre business. C'est exactement ce qu'on essaie de créer à l'intérieur de notre équipe. Vous savez pourquoi? C'est exactement ce qu'ils font aussi le plus possible avec le client. Tout est devenu plus léger la dernière année. Si vous avez l'impression que, il y a une couple de personnes qui sont parties, si je pourrais dire, et souvent, ces personnes-là, c'est des personnes qui faisaient pas grand-chose, qui respectaient plus tant ce système de valeurs-là. Fait qu'au bout du compte, ce que vous devez comprendre, c'est que la structure est restée toute en place. Les customers, les clients sont restés tout en place. Tout est resté là. Les personnes qui ont abandonné, littéralement, ils ont rajouté la légèreté à notre structure. Fait que là, on est là. On est dans un moment où c'est qu'on est léger en tant que compagnie. C'est dans ce moment-là qu'on peut s'envoler. C'est dans ces moments-là qu'on va avoir plus de moments pour vivre et expérimenter ce qu'on a ressenti vendredi. OK? Fait que c'est vraiment important de le comprendre. OK? Puis surtout le système de valeur. Si vous produisez, si vous ne produisez pas, si vous vendez, si vous ne vendez pas, I don't give a crap. OK? Je m'en fous. Si vous êtes capable de respecter le système d'éthique à l'intérieur de notre équipe, savez-vous quoi? Vous allez apprendre, vous allez grandir, vous allez évoluer, puis vous allez avoir une communauté. C'est ce qui va faire en sorte que votre vie va devenir pas mal meilleure. Qui ici, derrière les quittants, qui ici comprend que la communauté, c'est la chose la plus précieuse qu'on a? Pour moi, c'est ça. OK? Fait que je voulais, Michael, you're still here. Do you want to take like 2 or 3 minutes, maybe like as an outsider, maybe just to talk about what you see, because you've been with us like a lot in past event. Like I remember 3 or 4 years ago, we were in the hotel together, and you were looking at the team. We're like, what the fuck is going on? What is that team? So maybe if you have like 2 minutes, I don't know. I'm just like throwing you under the bus right now. So say something. Take a
Okay.
kayak or whatever.
Okay, I'll say something. Thanks for having me, by the way. Yeah, it's been just over 2 years since I've been with Prove It. And when I first saw your team, and it seems that every event I go to, you're the first team I run into of anybody. I don't know why, it's fate, it's meant to be, but every single time, doesn't matter where we are, you're the first team I always see. And that always stays in my mind. And life has challenges, but even through challenges, I've had a few things happen where you could get depressed, you could do all the things, but you keep going. So one thing that I did for myself was to I stay consistent with a couple things every single day, even though maybe not building really strong or doing anything like that, but consistently I do a shake up every day. I never missed a day. Since Jesse Lee passed, I never missed a day of push-ups. 680 something days now in a row, not one day off. Staying consistent with something every day. And sometimes the life will give you a little hiccup, and you can't look at the past as being a detriment to your life. You have to look at it as a bonus, because in my past success, I had a very, very successful business in different company and different things. Things didn't turn out quickly like I thought they were going to. It's a little bit slower than I anticipated. But what has that done? That has grounded me to the beginner. It's grounded me to the person that now I can understand the very first person, their first networking, their very first time trying to talk to a customer, the very first time building a team, moving forward, and understanding economics, understanding the different things that go along with it, the expense piece, all the different things that people talk about. So it's actually helped build an arsenal of positivity. because you just have to stay going and growing. Just like you say, is keep moving. And the basics are the basics, and they are when you're consistent. And I think that's something I need to work on, and it will be working on more, is that consistency of other things to go with my already consistent pieces. So I'm staying consistent with some things that I'm doing because I have to keep my mindset in a consistency piece. And then as it goes, add on to your consistency one at a time. And the next thing you're doing 3 things. Now you're doing 4 things. Now you're doing 5 things. Now you're doing 6. But you have to start off with at least one. And I think that's been a good lesson for me in my life. And I always respect and love how your team operates. I watch the camaraderie, and actually I wrote down build a team like QC.
I love it.
Because
I love it, and it's like I like what you're talking about. Like it's a pyramid. It's a pyramid scheme, right? No, but it is true. Like in order to get to the second level, you have to be consistent with the first thing, and then to go to the third level, you have to be consistent in the first, and then in the second, and then in the third, and then if you want to get to the fourth and fifth level, you have to be consistent with the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and then you grow like that. But a lot of people are doing complete opposite. They're trying to be so unique and so to perform, and they're trying to be so good, but it's not about the good thing, it's about the fundamentals.
you know,
And as a
one
martial artist, you understand that.
yeah, you know, one of the things is that what I really love about this business, it's about the relationships. And because I've been inconsistent in some business activity, I really focused in on consistency with the shake up, consistency with I do birthday messages every single day of all my friends, like 5,000 friends on Facebook. Every single day I write a message, and then I voice message to the person about their birthday and ask what they do for their birthday. Tell me a little bit more about it. I'd love to hear what you did on your birthday. Every single day, I do this to every single person that
Fundamental.
Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, every single day. And it's a consistent piece of relationship building, because now a year and a half later, I can go,
I love it. I love it. So
yeah. Now the people, when I talk to them
I
about,
lag. I feel like
yeah, ketones, I say, oh, ketones. Yeah, I heard you do, because now I connect to my story, my relationship about my ketones. Every single day they see me do push-ups. Every single day they see me do the shake up, or having my ketones, or in my class I talk about ketones, but I don't talk to them about it. I wish them happy birthday. Now they come to me to say, hey, but not so much. But when I mention it to them, then the subject comes up so easy. So easy. So I've been doing that for the last year and a half, steady every day. I look at some birthday messages and I see, oh, I wished them a happy birthday last year and they didn't respond. So I wish them another one. So
I love it. So, ce qu'il dit dans le fond, c'est beaucoup la structure de, c'est toujours une question de fondamentaux, de trucs fondamentaux. Les fondamentaux, donc, c'est, mettons qu'on parle, parce que lui, c'est un martial artist, un peu comme moi, ben, c'est toujours, puis Bruce Lee disait, c'est toujours the 1000 times the same kick. C'est de toujours donner le même coup de pied. C'est ce qui fait en sorte que tu t'améliores à une chose. Puis Michael, il était dans une autre compagnie, puis il était le top au Canada, littéralement. Donc, tu sais, dans le network marketing aussi, ce qui arrive, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui parlent, qui parlent, qui parlent, qui parlent, qui parlent. Il faut juste s'assurer d'écouter les bonnes personnes. Les personnes qui sont non seulement qui sont dans l'action, mais les personnes aussi qui savent ce qu'ils disent. Fait que les gens dans l'action, c'est parfait, c'est numéro un, mais il faut s'assurer que l'action est dans la bonne direction également. Fait que c'est la raison pour laquelle il y a eu des difficultés dans sa vie, des choses comme ça, puis c'est la raison pour laquelle on avait un call, puis croyez-moi, c'est des vraies difficultés. Puis c'est pour ça qu'on avait un call ensemble, mais ça va arriver à peu près tout le monde ici. Mais comme je l'ai dit tantôt dans la conversation qu'on a eue, moi, je veux me tenir avec des gens qui ont eu des struggles, and they haven't quit, qui n'ont pas abandonné. Moi, c'est ce genre de personnes-là que je veux m'entourer. this is the kind of people that I want to surround myself. So thank you, Michael, for sharing. I will close the call in French now.
Thank you so much. And you know, one thing I said to Mick just before everybody comes on, I didn't know you were doing the call today. He invited me to the call, which I'm very grateful for, and thank you. Hi. And one of the things is I said to Mick, I says, you know, I don't want to be a complainer. I don't want to like dwell on other people with my business of life, but I'd rather stay quiet and let the action of activity be my words for when the rise comes again. And I think it's very important to know that I'm on the call and I talked to Mick about some questions I had because I'm on the rise again. Brand new team, start over, scratch. One new person comes, that's my new first person. The second person and carries on like this. So I appreciate y'all, and that's my maybe one more new person. So I better
Oh yeah,
go. Thank you.
I love
Everybody.
it. Thank you for sharing. Fait que c'est ça,
Thank
il avait été un des
Appreciate
plus
you
grands
all.
dans sa compagnie. Thank you, Michael. Un des plus grands dans sa compagnie. Donc, il sait quoi faire. Il a déjà eu l'expérience. Donc, c'est le genre de personne, quand il va se remettre, quand il va vraiment se relancer, puis quand il va avoir créé sa nouvelle avion, c'est le genre de personne qu'on veut s'entourer, honnêtement. OK? Beaucoup de connaissances avec le old school, je pourrais dire network marketing. Puis c'est ça qui est vraiment super intéressant. Donc, j'espère que vous avez apprécié le call aujourd'hui. J'espère vraiment.
Sur une échelle de 1 à 10, vous avez apprécié à combien? Mettez-nous ça dans les commentaires. Yes!
Puis j'ai l'impression qu'encore une fois, que ce qu'il a dit, que c'est un premier call, mais qu'il va en avoir d'autres. Fait que si je suis 100% transparent avec vous, là, on essaie de se rapprocher le plus possible de Nick. Ça fait longtemps que je le dis, ça fait longtemps que j'en parle, OK? Que j'allais dans les événements uniquement pour lui prouver notre valeur, uniquement pour lui montrer qu'on était prêt à tout faire, qu'on était prêt à être all-in. Dans les 3 dernières années, vous le savez, aussitôt que Nick Martinez me lâchait un cœur et me disait il faut que tu ailles là, je prenais un billet d'avion puis j'y allais.
Cet été à Dallas, c'est ça que tu as fait.
Cet été à Dallas.
Semaine après, tu y allais.
Exactement. OK. Donc, c'est parce que cette personne-là a plus d'expérience que nous, a accompli plus que nous présentement. Et je pense qu'on est hautement complémentaires. Il y a une partie du travail que je fais qui est à l'opposé de mon spectre de personnalité depuis très longtemps. OK? Depuis probablement 5, 6 ou 7 ans. Et ce genre de personne-là, qui est Nick Martinez, c'est complètement mon opposé, si je pourrais dire. Donc, complètement mon complémentaire quand on parle des types de personnalités. J'ai appris à être un excellent vert et j'ai appris à créer des structures, des stratégies qui sont très, 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 très bonnes. Mais si moi, je veux être au maximum de mes capacités, et on veut travailler en équipe, pour moi, je suis un bleu. Je suis un bleu-jaune. Parfois, je pense que je suis plus un jaune qu'un bleu. Donc, je suis empathique puis je veux avoir du plaisir. Donc, je suis humain. Si un gars comme Nick, si on se rapproche d'un gars comme Nick, ben, ça peut me permettre d'être plus empathique puis d'être plus humain encore, donc encore plus dans ma vérité à moi puis d'être dans mon pouvoir. Comme un call comme hier soir, vous savez que je trouve que je sois rouge, là. Pas hier soir, mais hier midi. Là. Je sais que vous avez tous été motivés, vous avez tous été là, je vous voyais. Là. J'étais complètement vidé après. Là. OK? Puis c'était pour moi, je venais de faire comme un. D'après moi, c'était plus brûlant que faire un 3 heures de Jiu-Jitsu. Là. OK? J'ai crashé direct après. Là. OK? Donc, c'est pas dans mon style de personnalité. Par contre, j'ai appris à le faire. Puis la raison pour laquelle c'est puissant quand j'utilise mon rouge, c'est que, un, je ne l'utilise pas nécessairement souvent. Puis deux, c'est parce que vous savez que mon cœur est derrière ça. OK? Donc, c'est la raison pour laquelle c'est puissant. C'est parce que vous le savez que moi, mon type de personnalité, c'est pas rouge. Donc, c'est bâti sur un paquet d'empathie. Quand je vous donne une claque d'en face, c'est parce que c'est mon cœur qui fait comme ah ouais, tu vaux plus que ça, tabarnak. Puis c'est ça que je vois. T'sais? Donc, hier, c'était ça. Puis j'espère que vous avez eu cette motivation-là. J'espère que vous avez trippé sur ça aujourd'hui. J'ai demandé à Nate déjà, le prochain call des rangs 4 et plus, ça va être un call avec Nate. OK? On va rentrer dans une cédule avec les Rhino 90 jours. Pour moi, c'était très challengeant pour être 100% transparent avec vous, pour créer un horaire, pour créer une ligne directrice, si je pourrais dire, créer une chute. C'est parfait, c'est numéro un, on apprend. Et il y a eu énormément de leadership qui s'est élevé durant cette période-là, plus même que ce que je croyais, ce qui est complètement magnifique. On va faire les choses beaucoup mieux les prochaines fois, je peux vous garantir, l'année prochaine. Puis on va probablement faire une pratique aussi, peut-être en janvier ou en février ou whatever, pour passer justement à notre plus haut niveau là-dedans aussi. Donc, j'aimerais avoir 5 courageux. Je ne sais pas si c'est clair. Il y a d'autres choses qui s'en viennent, mais là, je ne peux pas tout vous dire d'un coup. Parce que ce qui va se passer, c'est que votre cerveau va comme exploser d'excitation. Fait que je vais en garder jusque-là pour l'instant, pour le moment. OK? Donc, quelques personnes qui sont vous avez été rapide, des personnes qui sont courageuses et courageuses. Et moi, je vais commander durant ce temps-là. Mel Vachon, si tu es capable de prendre comme 2-3 minutes.
Moi, j'ai pas grand-chose à dire. Non, c'est pas vrai. C'est mieux de commander vite en tabarouette. Non, c'est pas vrai. C'était parfait. C'est toujours parfait d'entendre Nick parce que on parle toujours de constance. En tout cas, je parle pour moi, là, on parle toujours de constance. Puis, les derniers mois, pour moi, ça a été ça. J'ai fait mes actions, j'étais toujours là. Je me présente dans les appels. Puis, oui, je parle bien français. Il veut que je parle en anglais maintenant. Je ne sais pas pourquoi. Il me propose ça. Donc, puis, ben, c'est ça. Les chiffres, ils avancent pas autant que ce que je le souhaiterais, mais quand il ramène son graphique, c'est tellement ça. Je suis loin du 6 ans, là. Je suis loin du 7 ans. Je le sais exactement pourquoi je suis là. Je le sais. Dans les dernières semaines, j'ai pris des calls avec Mick, avec Émilie, avec Mel, pour me ramener dans ça. Mais la réalité, c'est. Puis à toutes les fois, je disais, ben, pour moi, l'abandon, c'est pas une option. Je le sais que je suis là où je dois être. Je le sais, ma vision, elle est où. Fait que quand on revient avec des partages comme ça de gens qui ont persévéré, qui ont été déterminés dans leur vision, dans le pourquoi ils faisaient, peu importe ce que les chiffres étaient, puis je suis toujours dans le rôle de l'élève. Je me branche, je réentends, je réécoute, je lis, j'essaie de me développer. Puis je suis beaucoup dans ça, dans les dernières semaines, à analyser la version de moi que je dois laisser aller pour être la prochaine version de là où je veux aller. Fait que c'est vraiment, honnêtement, vraiment méga puissant à toutes les fois. Do the work, show up, sois là, apprends, pose des questions, puis fais tes actions. Là, je pense qu'il n'a pas fini de commander, fait que je vais passer la balle à Jessica. Portier.
C'est bon. Donc, je vais continuer pendant qu'il commande. Donc, je ne sais pas si c'est mon natte double caféine, ce que Nick a dit, un mélange de tout ça, mais je repars de ce rhino-là vraiment très, très, très groundé. Je pense que je le suis depuis le début, mais quand on commence, c'est tout le temps plus difficile justement de voir les personnes qui sont au-dessus puis de faire comme, voyons, l'écart est tellement grand, voyons, on va-tu y arriver? Puis, tu sais, je trouve ça très drôle parce qu'il dit que son père l'a pris en pitié, mais moi, ma première cliente est littéralement ma mère. Elle m'a pas pris en pitié, mais c'est quand même ma mère qui était ma première cliente. Et pour vrai, tu sais, je pense que ça me ramène juste comme un peu à la réalité de, oui, je fais mes actions tous les jours, oui, je fais énormément de choses tous les jours. Non, peut-être que j'ai pas un client tous les jours. Non, peut-être que je suis pas au... C'est clairement pas là que je m'en vais. J'ai la vision beaucoup plus grande que ça. Moi aussi, je veux des maisons dans tous les pays. Donc, j'ai dit ça à mon conjoint. Mon conjoint, il fait comme go for it. Là, tu sais, lui, il se plaignera pas. Mais, tu sais, je pense que j'ai pas de limite. Je me dis, oui, j'ai des objectifs, mais je veux comme vraiment aller loin. Il faut juste que je retombe sur terre de faire comme, OK, je pense que c'est Émilie qui avait dit ça dans un rhino, step by step, puis tu sais, on va y aller étape par étape. Puis de pas penser que c'est pas parce que je fais un live que j'ai un client, de juste faire comme continuer, puis à un moment donné, les résultats vont rentrer. Puis tu sais, clairement, déjà, j'en ai des résultats, mais des fois, on veut que ça aille trop vite, puis c'est normal, là. On se fait grounder à tous les jours pendant 90 jours, là. On voudrait vraiment aller encore plus vite. Donc, pour vrai, oups, je sais pas c'est quoi ça. Comme plusieurs disent, tu sais, c'est célébrer ces petites victoires, puis continuer comme ça. Fait que pour vrai, moi, des rencontres comme ça avec Nick ou avec n'importe qui d'autre, je travaille mon anglais. Je dirais pas que je suis pas bonne en anglais parce que je vais manger une claque au travers de l'écran, mais je vois déjà Mick. Mais pour vrai, anglais, français, j'en sors toujours avec quelque chose de positif. Donc, pour vrai,
Mais tu
j'encourage
sais,
tout le monde.
s'il faut se fier à la vibration puis au magnétisme, présentement, je pense qu'on est tous d'accord pour dire que tu vas réussir. Tu sais, je ne sais pas ce que tu fais. Je ne sais pas nécessairement les actions que tu entreprends à tous les jours. Mais si à la base, on va se dire que le magnétisme, c'est la chose la plus importante, puis définitivement, je pense que même si tu es un peu dans le noir, tu vibres quand même. Tu shines plus que ta caméra présentement. On va y aller comme ça.
Oui,
Même si on ne voit pas grand-chose, on voit comme ton aura. Puis ça,
donne
c'est
un
vrai.
break à mon cerveau, Mick, là.
Mais ça, c'est vraiment important. Tu sais. C'est vraiment important. C'est ça qui est le plus grand indicateur de succès. Puis, tu sais, depuis quand même un petit moment déjà, des mieux souvent, on te voit toujours. On voit, puis au-delà de ce que tu fais, ça, si tu réussis à faire l'action, puis à être obsessif, puis à être whatever, après ça, c'est un peu, on s'en fout un peu. Tu sais, dans le sens que ça va arriver. Au même titre que Nick, c'est facile de le regarder aujourd'hui. Il y a peut-être, je sais pas moi, peut-être 13 ans d'expérience. Peut-être, ce qu'on regarde, c'est son 13e chapitre. Tu sais, nous autres, on est au chapitre 7. Mais Mick est au 13e chapitre. On n'a pas encore vu son 20e non plus. Tu sais. Puis nous autres, on n'est pas encore rendu. Toi, tu es dans ton, mettons, on va dire ton premier chapitre encore. Tu sais. Fait que c'est vraiment. Je trouve ça vraiment super ce que tu dis. Puis, encore une fois, c'est pas à propos. C'est à propos de devenir inévitable. Puis le reste, après ça, c'est comme on peut prier un peu si on veut pour que les choses arrêtent, mais c'est à peu près le seul contrôle qu'on peut avoir. Tu sais. Que ça arrive plus vite. Tu sais. Fait que, I love it. Dania?
Ouais,
Il reste 9
j'étais dans
de
mes
batterie.
pensées. Honnêtement, j'ai souvent entendu l'histoire à Nick, puis aujourd'hui, j'ai l'impression que je l'ai entendu une nouvelle oreille. J'ai été plus loin que le pilote d'avion. On dirait que le reste, je l'avais jamais entendu. Je sais pas pourquoi. Mais ce qui m'a vraiment fait émotionnellement réagir, en fait, c'est vraiment que son, sa lignée, là, son petit bâton de hockey, là, ben, c'est drôle parce que je me reconnais beaucoup dans les chiffres qu'il a mentionnés, puis je vois mon évolution à travers ce qu'il a dit. Puis je me suis dit, Kim, la 5e année, elle arrive là, elle arrive genre en 2025. Fait que c'est complètement ça, c'est la constance, c'est d'y rester, tu sais, ce que je ressens aujourd'hui de ma nouvelle version de moi-même, de ce que j'ai mis en place depuis les 4 dernières années, le développement que j'ai fait sur ma personne, ben, crime, c'est comme franchement logique tout ce que j'ai entendu aujourd'hui, puis je me dis que pas toute seule, puis c'est le fun de ressentir ça. Puis je suis quand même contente d'avoir ce cheminement-là parce que justement, ça me permet d'être plus en puissance, plus en force, puis prête à passer au prochain niveau aussi, tu sais.
Mais tu sais,
Fait
tu as
que,
quel âge, Dania? Tu as comme t'as 13 ans, c'est ça?
ouais, c'est ça.
Ah ouais, mais pour vrai, je me mêle tout le temps. Je te mets tout le temps plus jeune encore que ce que tu veux, tu as 28 là. C'est ça?
Ouais, ouais.
Bon, parfait, numéro un. Aimes-tu mieux les avoir faites à ces réalisations-là, là, maintenant, en début? Tu aurais aimé mieux prendre toutes les ramifications d'une vie, toutes les ramifications d'une business, puis finalement, à un moment donné, ça te pogne en pleine face. Honnêtement, tu veux avoir les problèmes au début, tu veux que les problèmes te
Mhm.
ramassent avant d'avoir toute la ramification, parce que ça devient encore plus difficile
C'est quoi?
après. C'est déjà difficile, là. Imagine si tu prends toutes les ramifications. Imagine si tu fais 1 million par année avec Poupette, puis toutes les ramifications sont toutes ancrées là-dedans, dans ton identité partout, tout le temps. Tu te remets pas de ça. Tu t'en remets pas. Ben, oui, mais ça prend-tu 5 ans? Tu sais, en tout cas, peu importe. Ça pour dire que le process, moi, je pense que aujourd'hui, maintenant, si on réalise tous nos démons, tous nos angles morts, si je pourrais dire, ben, aujourd'hui, c'est la journée la plus facile pour éviter les ramifications pour le reste de notre vie. That's it, that's all. Je sais qu'on veut le succès, mais à un certain moment donné, on est dans une business de l'humain avec un grand H, puis il faut connaître le succès ici, on va dire un succès spirituel, avant d'avoir un succès entrepreneurial. Puis si c'est l'inverse, c'est là que cet ordre-là va toujours revenir ou mordre les fesses, si je pourrais dire. Fait que peut-être aussi bien de le vivre aujourd'hui, puis de le vivre à fond, puis de l'apprécier, puis en être reconnaissant de ce processus-là. Parce que je pense, non, dans aucun autre endroit, vous auriez pu le faire de cette manière-là, puis vous auriez pu vous permettre de vous laisser aller, puis peut-être de sombrer là-dedans, sombrer hors de votre zone de sécurité autant qu'avec nous autres, avec Prove It en général. Donc, voilà. Émilie?
Deux choses. La première, ce que je trouve très intéressant aussi, c'est que ça remet beaucoup en perspective. C'est sûr que, tu sais, peut-être ces 5 premières années, il n'y avait pas la business qu'il y a aujourd'hui, mais quand même, ça remet quand même en perspective le fait que tu peux faire un travail temps plein et jongler avec une business en ligne, hors ligne, à développer. Fait que les deux peuvent se faire pendant. Puis en fait, il n'y a même pas de date d'expiration de se dire, hey, là, ça fait assez longtemps que tu le fais à demi-temps pour que tu le fasses temps plein. Fait que je trouve que c'était bien de l'avoir précisé qu'il faisait les deux, et son pilote d'avion et sa business Provit. Fait que ça, j'aime ça. Puis ce qui m'amène à mon autre point, c'est qu'à un moment donné, si tu veux que ta business grandisse à la hauteur du succès que tu veux qu'elle aille, c'est là que ça devient important aussi de créer de l'espace dans ta business. Fait que je reviens au mot constance du départ. Pour moi, la constance, la discipline des actions au quotidien, c'est vraiment de se permettre de générer un succès dans un futur X, Y, Z, proche, rapproché, je ne sais pas trop. Mais tout ça pour dire que c'est créer de l'espace au quotidien dans des actions qui amènent du mouvement comme constamment. Puis ça, il l'a répété plusieurs fois, là, que ça, il n'a pas dit le mot DMO, mais c'était la DMO. Il la faisait au quotidien. Puis lui, sa pleine puissance, ça a été à travers des lives. Puis encore aujourd'hui, il fait encore des lives à tous les jours. Fait que c'est le fait de, puis tu sais, un autre parallèle aussi, j'ai un flash, parce qu'à un moment donné, il disait, tu sais, il dit, tu peux le faire temps plein Provit, mais tu continues à travailler. Tu sais, dans le sens, quand on construit notre vision Provit, on a encore du Provit quotidien dans notre journée. Tu sais, on n'est pas comme, bah, ben, pour les 5 prochains jours, je décroche de Provit, puis je ne parle pas à la communauté, je ne contribue pas, je ne fais pas de business, je ne fais rien. Au contraire, c'est que c'est juste ton modèle professionnel, ton modèle d'affaires pour travailler vient comme prendre une tangente différente. Mais bref, je vais revenir sur la constance, sur le fait de, oui, de pouvoir le faire les deux ensemble, mais surtout d'avoir en tête qu'il faut créer de l'espace pour Provit à tous les jours, all day.
Exact. Il y en a qui pensent que c'est le temps, mais c'est plutôt l'efficacité du temps. Moi, je me dis, puis je vais vous le laisser là-dessus après parce qu'il me reste 5 de batterie sur mon ordi avec tous les aléas de ce matin, adaptation. Hein. Mais c'est à propos de, c'est pas à propos d'accélérer votre business que vous voulez. C'est que vous voulez vous outiller pour que vous devenez tellement fort que même en allant lentement, votre business va rouler quand même. Smooth is fast. Donc, ce que vous voulez, c'est accumuler les bonnes expériences, accumuler la bonne intelligence, accumuler de la bonne conscience envers votre business. Et ça va permettre à votre business d'accélérer. Mais vous ne pouvez jamais être plus qu'un humain. Okay? Même si vous essayez comme moi, imaginez si j'étais comme hier, là, à tous les jours, oubliez ça, là, je ne serais pas capable, je ferais 2 jours en ligne, puis je tomberais. C'est la raison pour laquelle mon énergie passe aujourd'hui. Elle passe. Ah. Donc, j'espère que vous avez apprécié le call aujourd'hui. J'espère que vous comprenez que vous êtes l'outil numéro 1 de votre business. Et à un certain point, c'est la seule chose qui est importante. C'est votre évolution. Vous êtes complètement médiocre à comparer de ce que vous allez être dans les 6 prochains mois. Puis encore plus médiocre aujourd'hui si vous vous comparez à la personne que vous allez devenir dans 6 ans. Puis j'utilise le mot médiocre avec une super grande intention. OK? Parce que je me considère médiocre comparé à qui je vais être dans 10 ans. Et pour ça, c'est ça me motive à devenir la meilleure personne, la meilleure version que je peux, avec le plus d'expérience, avec le plus d'intelligence, avec le plus de conscience et avec le plus d'empathie et pourquoi pas avec de l'ambition on top of that. C'est cette personne-là qui va bouger des mouvements. All right? Donc, je vous arrête l'enregistrement et je ferme le Zoom parce que de toute manière, j'ai plus de batterie. Ciao!